Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
In my book, Foundational Networking, Building Know, Like, and Trust to Create a Lifetime of Extraordinary Success, I lay out the elements of really what you need to do to become known, liked, and trusted. And the liked section, really focuses on altruism. And one way to be liked, one of the best ways to be liked is to be altruistic, finding ways to give to other people. And that section, the second section on altruism, is really broken up into a number of different chapters. The first thing I talk about is compassion. And I tell a story in there about a kid who is from Omaha, Nebraska, or he lives near Omaha, Nebraska. He was a wrestler. This story came out in December of 2003. And the guy's name was Brandon Teal, and he was a senior wrestling for his high school. And he was asked to wrestle now, just as a backdrop, he was part of the number 2 ranked team in the state. And he was wrestling at the 189-pound weight class. One day, his coaches approached him with what I termed as an unusual request. They asked him to they asked him to wrestle a wrestler from the rival high school who was the number 1 team in the state. And they asked him to wrestle a freshman, and the freshman, the unique thing about this is the freshman had Down syndrome. And what they asked Brandon Teal to do, and he wrestled Trevor Howe, they asked him in wrestling this kid with Down syndrome, don't hurt the kid. Just, give him the experience of wrestling in a match, and he just, beat him in the end on points or pin him in the third period. And so the match went on, and Brandon Teal went into, just sparring with the kid, wrestling with the kid, letting him take him down, and so on and so forth. But at one point, just was overcome with the sense of compassion and let the young freshman with Down syndrome beat him, just giving him the opportunity to feel the joy of winning. Just this, this notion of, I'm going to be compassionate to this young kid. And that story has always stuck with me, and I felt it needed to be in the section on altruism. And when I talked about altruism, it's not just about giving money. There's so many neat things we can do for other people. And one of the things is just being compassionate. And I thought that story fit perfectly there. As a way to get people to like us. We ask yourself, if this is kind of lifeboat ethics, but if you had an opportunity to be on a lifeboat with one of 2 people, someone who's got a lot of compassion and someone who doesn't, who do you want to be on the lifeboat with you? And I think the answer to that is, well, I want to be with a compassionate person. And that's, really how we're wired. We want to surround ourselves with people who are compassionate, who, we're not always going to have great days, and we want people who are going to be compassionate to the notion that, we might need a little more support on those days when we don't have all, the wind is not, at our backs, sort of a thing. So at any rate, compassion is a big part of building a strong network, of getting people to know us, like us, and then ultimately trust us. But I think there's more to compassion than just really, I know there's more to compassion than simply building, a sense of building a relationship. And when we're compassionate to others, it fuels also our own well-being. And there are lots of studies out there that talk about this. It's a powerful booster to the notion of compassion. It's a powerful booster to, combating negative emotions. And really being compassionate makes people happier. And there are lots of studies that are done out there um, that will show this. So I really wanted to kind of roll through some different things that being compassionate, being kind to others will help you with. Not only will it help you build a network, but it's really going to help you build your own personal physical and mental and emotional well-being. First thing is it lowers stress. Being compassionate for someone else just will lower stress. It just makes you feel better. And I think we all operate better when we don't feel that sense of stress. I know I do. When things are in a calm state, I'm more creative. I'm more productive. I'm more willing to reach out and take risks. And being compassionate lowers that stress. It boosts your mood. You don't have to feel happy to be kind, but with kindness often works in reverse. You do the kind thing first, and your mood follows. It's like walking in the rain and realizing blocks later that you're humming. Um, and that's what being kind and compassionate does. It strengthens relationships at the core, and I've kind of indicated that. When we're kind to other people, kind, compassionate, we've done something for them, and they sense that. And it doesn't have to be anything big, but they sense that. Um, and it creates an affinity towards you from them. So that just expressing compassion will do that for you. There are studies that show that it improves physical health. Acts of kindness are linked to lower blood pressure, um, better heart health, and even reduced inflammation. Those are all markers for longevity, for healthy lives. Um, it's Kindness isn't just about good manners. It's preventative maintenance. Let's look at it that way. Again, that kind of goes back to the whole notion of lowering stress. Heart rate and heart health and blood pressure, those all go up with stress. It increases resilience. Kind people sort of bend without breaking, if you will. You know, Life's throwing us elbows all the time, and kindness reminds us that we're part of something bigger than the hit we just took. Now, kindness doesn't necessarily take away the pain that we might experience based on what life has thrown us, but it makes us feel better about ourselves, better about what we're contributing to the world, and those things have a positive impact. There's the notion of a vicious cycle, right, where things get worse and get worse and gets worse. Well, there's the opposite of that, and it's a virtuous cycle. We do something kind, we feel better. We're more inclined to do something kind, we feel better. It just keeps getting better and better and better. So it helps us with resilience. It sharpens our self-esteem. Every kind act is sort of a small vote for the person we want to be. Over time, those votes add up, right? You're just not telling yourself you're a good person. You've proved that you're a good person time and again, time and again. You don't have to look far to find an example of where you have done something great for somebody else and expected nothing in return. It certainly deepens our purpose and meaning in life. Kindness answers the quiet question we all ask: do we matter? Do I matter? And when you help someone else move forward, whatever they need to move forward from, the answer comes back loud and clear. It's easy to get caught up in our own little lives, our own little worlds, our own little sorrows. But you look around and you realize that there are people out there who suffer more and have less, and they're out there. There's somebody out there. Trust me, there's somebody out there who has less than you, who is suffering more than you are. Kindness creates a positive momentum. It's really contagious. One act becomes two, and then four, and it snowballs from there. Just big old snowball rolling down the hill, getting bigger and bigger. You do something nice for somebody, they're looking to do somebody nice for somebody else, and it just kind of moves on and on and on. And it's really kind of hardwired into who we are. Studies show that it improves mental clarity, that when you're focused on helping others, you stop ruminating about the things that are troubling you, and your mind gets out of its own way. The kindness clears the windshield in your life, if you will. And finally, kindness changes how you experience the world. And that's really the big takeaway. Kindness doesn't change what happens to you. It just changes how you feel about life. The world feels less hostile. There's less sharp edges. Not because anything has changed, but it's just really your perspective on things. So, I think back to the story of Brandon Teal often, and just his moment of kindness. He didn't have to do what he did. He didn't have to lose that match. He didn't have to get pinned. But he did. And that's, that's 20 some years ago. Kid's probably approaching his 40s right now. And he'll be forever known as the person who had that random act of kindness. He just put it out there. And I would imagine that has changed how people view him. Both the people he knew, both his friends, certainly his coaches, as well as the people who were his rivals. And that's not nothing, as I like to say. That's not nothing. That's something. So go about your day. Find a way to show someone some compassion, some kindness. And yeah, it'll benefit your network. You'll have a better network for it. But you'll be happier, you'll be healthier, you'll have more meaning, you'll have more purpose. You'll just have a better life. And from there, the people around you will have a better life too.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.